When my brother Arshad and I were very young, about 13, 14, we started tinkering with materials and as a hobby. Everybody probably had a hobby in those days, whether collecting stamps or whether music or whatever. We actually started making little things, and that I think was the beginning, where we went and made a model of our house. And at 13, 14, 15, so it was very clear that we had to become something where we could build. So architecture was a very natural area where we had to go to. Arshad was very strong in planning and larger stuff, and I was more design oriented. So anyway, so Arshad went into the architecture of large projects, and I was looking at the design and the interior design and the finishes, and because that's what my passion was. Although we are both graduates as architects, so उससे फायदा ये हुआ कि we were not tramping on each other's feet. He was doing his work and I was doing my work. Okay, architecture is a very complex thing that first you have to understand materials. And when you understand materials, you really know that the cost-wise, because everybody has a budget. And of course, when you get a requirement from a client, let's say it's a house. So you have to know your materials, what you're using, and it has to be within cost. Now, along with that, you have to have a talent to be able to design. Architecture is basically, good and bad architects is really all about how you put your blocks together. And the basic building material is a block or a brick, and you can make a very beautiful structure. And it's all about how the form is coming up, is how you've put your blocks together. But at the same time, besides the material, you have to be creative. And to become creative, you have to be very observant. You're observant about how others have solved their problems and how you are unique in solving your problems, because it's all about problem solving. You have a piece of land, you have a certain budget, you have a client who has likes and dislikes. So you have to really get into the mind of the client when you are designing something. Because when I was talking about a house, it's you can't make a house that you like, because the house is not for me. The house is for a particular client, and you have to respect their lifestyle and their needs. So I would say that there's a lot that goes into it. Lots of projects, mashallah, that we worked on. But the more challenging project that I have taken on was, I would say, South City Hospital. Now, South City Hospital was already in use. The building was in use on that location, and it was also called South City Hospital. But I don't think anybody really went in there for their illnesses or any sort of disease, because everything was so badly designed and badly put together. So now when these other doctors came and bought it, They said that it has to feel like a five-star hospital because it was for profit. It wasn't a charitable hospital. And they had very little money to design. So that's what we thought, that it should come out very nice. It should be an example for future hospitals. And I think it happened that it made a benchmark. Like one walked in there and it felt comfortable. It didn't feel like a hospital. It felt like a little resort. We planted almost 200 trees outside. So when you are in a room, all you're seeing outside are trees and not the traffic. And so the goal that I was given is that the end user will be all of those patients who can afford to go abroad. So I said then it has to be better than abroad. So that's when we felt that it should feel very at home, and because it was for profit, I just jokingly told the owners that, which means that it should never be empty. So they said, how can we do that? And I said, look, you should have a hospital where in a normal hospital, right from the first day or second day, the patient or their family is asking the doctor, so when are we going home? And here, when the doctor gives chutti to somebody, they should say, okay, can I stay another day? And that's exactly what happened out there. So that I thought it achieved the success that we wanted. And it's now a benchmark for other hospitals. So whether you come up to that level, or you are less, or you go beyond that level, which I hope is happening. That people are looking at this and they're saying, well, we should try to make it better than that. And I'm hoping that that's happening. I'm glad you asked that. One, the prime focus is that, are you educating yourself while you're making this project? Is it going to leave a mark behind after it's done? And one should never want to break it. The project that is grown old, let's break it. So it should be timeless, and it should be fun to look at, and you should want to stand in front of it and get your picture taken. So it should be at that level. And of course, very important that the younger architects are learning something from it. It's like educative, the materials we've used, the way they have been used. And I tried to use mostly local indigenous materials, where you say you don't have to go and spend too much money. Every project I do, I usually will never use imported marble or granite or stuff like that. So it has to have a calming feel, whatever we do. That when you open the gate, you say, I'm home. That's very important for me. Honesty. Honesty of purpose. Honesty of being a professional. You could be working on something and then you come up with the idea, even while you made most of the drawings, and you say, if I had done it this way, it would save the client so many 100,000 or million rupees. So that I would say is really the hallmark in this office, that you are very, very honest as a professional, that you don't cheat anybody, you don't make your projects very expensive just because you can show off, because it's not about show. Like I said, the projects have to be indigenous materials, and it should belong. It should belong to Pakistan. It should belong to that client and to that purpose. No fashion. Architect is not fashionable. That, there's a fashion of using this material, so we should use it, because fashion is very time bound. So tomorrow when that thing looks funny, then you say, oh my God, I wish I hadn't used it. So that's how it goes. Oh, I think it's so important what you've just said, that as you grow older, a lot of people say that this office is the best place to learn. Learn ethics, good architecture, how to deal with clients, how to be honest. And even when I was teaching at the Indus Valley School, I taught there for almost 15 years, the first 15 years. But I constantly taught the students how to solve problems. And it could be any problem, not even a design problem. It's like you give one exercise, one problem, that you have this room, and how do you plan the room? Now, if there are 20 students in class, you'll have 20 different answers to the same problem. And that's where your mind opens up. That, hey, I would not have done it this way, but it works. And how nice, you have given a certain thing that, there should be this many chairs. And the person comes back and gives you an answer that actually, I don't need chairs. I'm just sitting on the floor. Now, I gave him an exercise with my limited knowledge. Everybody has limited knowledge. And the more you learn to design, the wider your knowledge becomes. And then once again, when you know so much about architecture or anything else, that's when you realize that you've just scratched the surface. There is so much more to know. Well, the only advice, if you go in the field of arts, and this is a little more than the field of arts the way I see it, because it's built up. You could be a singer, and your song isn't very good. You have a choice to turn it off. If you're a painter and the public doesn't like your painting, you can take it off. Clothes designer. So all of these people, when they design, advertising, this, that, whatever, you can put it away, but you cannot put away a building. So you made this building, which is not very good, for whatever reason. It's your death. That if it comes out bad, because that's the only way you can encourage people to come to you, or building is saying, keep away from this guy. That it's very bad work. But like I said, that is a very, very difficult profession. You need to worry about what the engineer is doing with the foundation, where the columns are coming, where the lights are there, where the switch comes, where the air conditioning is coming, where the views are, where how large a window, whether the sun is coming in or not, whether you're hearing the birds through that window, or are you just hearing clutter from the outside? So there's a lot to architecture, and you have to be in love with this profession. And in fact, every profession that you get into in the field of arts, you cannot, it's not a part-time thing that you say, well, I want to be an architect, but if it doesn't work, I'll be something else. Then you might as well not even get into it. So that's what I would actually advise them. That if you're not in love with this profession, you shouldn't even attempt to get into it. One doesn't work for that. That you're going to do good work, so you win an award, or you're somebody's clapping for you, or somebody. But if you're working honestly and diligently, and you are showing the younger architects, the older architects, examples of work, and if it's good work, so you get recognized. But when I got these awards, I was happy that one is recognized, but it shouldn't change you as a person. Now I have these awards, and I am big shot now. What actually happens to me, at least, or happened to me, is it puts you at another crossroad. That if everybody thinks that you are damn good, you better at least remain there or go a little higher. And that's what happened. That you can't lower your benchmarks then. Plus the social work we do, that I think is also very important, that you work beyond your profession, which I would say is the ABCD, which is you work above and beyond the call of duty. That's ABCD. So do you practice your ABCD? And I would say this is such a profession that you're constantly thinking, you're constantly problem solving. And so a good architect can solve almost anything, whether it's in architecture or engineering or even simple problems in a city. I think it would be a great idea if our mayors and our administrators or whatever are architects in a city. It would be a very, very comfortable city. It would be a city worth living in. So that's where I am.